Hello, welcome. Welcome to the last and final edition of the Women Who Wine in Higher Ed. It's the 3W EDU podcast number 12. We're to cork it off and get rid of 2016. And before we do that, let's remind everyone where we're at and what we're talking about. Someone will graciously tweet this open Google Doc that we're going to share our show notes in. And I'll tell you a little bit about our podcast if this is your first time joining us. The podcast was designed to discuss the value of women who lead, innovate, research, and more in higher ed. And we want to really sip on wine and gather like we normally do and give a space for recognition, to ask questions, and really reduce barriers that sometimes women have within the profession. We think this podcast is a good way to start the conversation and push others to mentor, coach, and empower. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. But before we get started, let's talk to the other co-hosts about what they're drinking today and what's in their bottle. So please introduce yourself, and I'll start with Tanya. And Tanya will unmute herself.
Darn it, I was going so well too. My name's Tanya Justin from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I went to my one of my wine spots, so not the corner bodega, but actually a wine store called the Thief Wine Market. And so I went there before Thanksgiving. And so as a lot of you know, I've been sort of stuck on Boda boxes for a while. I mean, they're so convenient. And they're yummy and all of that good stuff, and they last forever, it seems like. But I went and bought a case of wine. I mean, why not? It's the holidays. I went through that case of wine, actually, and I've been back there twice since, but that's a whole nother story. So there's this great guy there, Chris, and he sort of knows what I like and then helps me pick up great wine. So some of you know I'm partial to Cab Francs, and then I go through different spurts as well. But there was a while there, like probably a year, I was on this Malbec kick. I think that was earlier this year and last year. So there's this great Malbec Cab Franc, which isn't something you normally see. So it's 70% Malbec, 30% Cab Franc from Argentina, from Santa Julia, Reserva. And so it's been really awesome. And so I've sort of gotten addicted to it. So I bought a couple bottles, I went back, I bought some more, and then I just went with my friend and colleague, Lindsay Harness, last night and bought a couple more. They're just really awesome. So it's not a really broadly known wine. It was hard for me to even find a link to put in today's doc, but I'm really enjoying it. So cheers to the holidays. And for me, drinking high class wine, anything over 10 bucks, that's pretty classy. So
We've progressed so much this year. Like Tanya, this is amazing. Cases of wine, non-boxed, it's amazing. All right, who's talking next? Nori, tell us what's in your glass.
Hello, everyone. I'm here in Southern California, and I'm at my local wine merchant. I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to show you. You can see the wine wall behind me. And I'm in Southern California at a place called the Packing House Wine Merchant. Like Tanya, I have friends here, Sal and Evie, who I can pretty much say, give me a wine I like, and they know what I'm looking for and my penchant for low alcohol reds. And yeah, so today I am drinking a Rioja. I put it in the shared doc. It's a Cume Crianza Rioja, and it's predominantly Tempranillo. And there is a little bit in the notes. What I'm tasting is kind of a smooth oaky taste to it in a red, which I really like. But the alcohol is nice and low down there, so I'm getting a lot of flavor out of a 13.5 red, which for those of you who know me is just my sweet spot. So that's me. Who wants to go next?
That sounds delicious.
My dogs are being quiet, so I'll go next. I'm Jess. I'm drinking Tito's vodka from a unicorn rainbow coffee mug because I've given up on 2016. I'm in my bathrobe and a Josh Groban t-shirt, and I'm okay with it. That's where I am. So, follow along if you want. I'll link you to the t-shirt, the bathrobe, and the vodka all in the doc. That's me.
I love it, Jess. We have a back channel of the back channel when we talk, and she's like, I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing makeup. I went, oh, I'm not going to brush my hair or put makeup on either. Like, perfect. That means this is how tired we are of the year. Patrice, what are you up to today? What's in your glass?
So I'm at home in Ithaca, New York. So not lucky enough to be at a fabulous wine location in Southern California. And I am drinking a lovely wine from the Sonoma Coast, and it's Ramey 2010. And I was lucky enough to spend some time with my brother and his family over the Thanksgiving holiday. And my brother sent me home with quite a bit of wine. So I have a really nice selection of wine at home. So cheers to my brother. Thanks for stocking me up for the new year. And to tell you a little bit about the wine, it is a blend of 78% Chanel Vineyard, 16% Coal Creek Vineyard, and 6% Creek Vineyard. And the winemaker notes say that this blend combines for a smooth, supple, elegant wine, perfect for this evening. It goes well with Jess's outfit tonight, which will pair well with grilled sausages, duck breast, roast pork or chicken, and any sort of lamb. So that's good to know. It also pairs really well with the fabulous hashtag 3WEDU ladies. And I actually was quite busy today and came home wearing a suit, which I don't do very often. So I've actually dressed down a little bit for tonight's episode.
Hey, dress down, dress up. We're glad to have you. And now I'm really hungry based on the wine description you've just discussed. So, thanks all for joining us. If you haven't shared what's in your glass, we'll get to you online. I don't know what I'm drinking. I posted that I'm doing this thing called Wine Vent. It's like Advent, but not spiritual, but about spirits. And this year it's about wine. So every day for the days leading up to Crimbo, the 25th, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, the 25th. It's just our excuse to develop a calendar of booze. And this year's, we put wine in it. My partner in crime, Firka, and I wrapped 25 bottles. Okay, probably like there's 28 because we figured there'd be people stopping by. And we ended up in these bottles, picking them. So I don't know what I'm getting. So I'm going to unwrap it. I'll sample it as we go through the podcast. But we'll give notes. Oh, this is not my bottle. So tonight's wine is, a little bit back. It looks like a Chateau Mouse, Canyon Francais, Guy Tunarac, Grand de Bordeaux. This might be to remember the time when we got stuck in France for a few days on the way to Ireland. But we'll have a story about this in our own little recap tonight as we sample this. And I'll put oh yeah.
Yeah, the Bordeaux's are great. Awesome.
Yeah, so this is good. So it's our excuse to sample one bottle a night. Not like we don't do that on a regular basis, but this is to broaden this and tell a story about each bottle. So we'll send a little audio clip and I'll put where you can find us on SoundCloud if you're here to look at our wine rack that we've been sampling. So I'm going to toss it over to Jess now to have a chat and introduce today's topic that started amongst us just chatting back and forth about it.
Excellent. So if you're interested in cosplaying as me for Halloween, or you've got a great Comic-Con coming up, I've updated the document with everything but the bathrobe. Can't find the right one. But if this is your dream, everything is in the doc. Also in the document is our topic list for this evening. So I guess it was after we got back from Accelerate. It was like last week or the week before we were talking about different things we wanted to do in 2017. And I am doing Couch to 5K, which, you know, for me is maybe ambitious. I like to lift weights. I don't like to run. But when I told them that I was doing this, them being these lovely ladies in front of you, they offered to do it also. And hey, wouldn't it be great if we traveled around and we ran different races? And what's your technique for training for running? Nori is doing a 10K training program right now. Laura has run several marathons and she's done so with friends. So we kind of came up with a giant Google chat full of things that we're trying to do now before 2017, but also that we hope to carry through 2017. And the first topic on that list was healthy living and well-being planning. I was gonna start with Patrice on this one, as she is my healthy eating, please eat a vegetable guru. So Patrice, did you wanna talk about some of your plans for healthy living?
Sure. Yeah, so I think that I have a little bit of the reputation. I think I've heard Tanya say Patrice never puts anything unhealthy in her mouth. And so I definitely eat a lot of vegetables and, you know, try on a daily basis to participate in clean eating, so to speak, and eat well. And that does stem from the fact that, you know, I used to do a lot of triathlons and compete a lot. And that was really when I started thinking about, you know, what I was eating and what, you know, what foods would best fuel me, what foods were best for, you know, recovery and that type of thing. And I've really noticed that during times when I am not as thoughtful about what I eat, it really has an impact on my energy level and my mood and how I feel. So I do really believe that the food that we eat does have that type of impact. And I used to get a magazine called, I think it was called Clean Living. That was fabulous. It had just some really, really great recipes. And what I loved about it was it wasn't like clean living, drink beet juice for 4 days, but just thinking about, you know, how can you eat well without, you know, eating a lot of fat and salt and, you know, saturated things that are not good for you, but still very flavorful. And so that's a really important thing for me is, you know, how do we still make the food, presentation has a lot to do with it. I think that it's really important that we take the time to think about the presentation of our food and using a lot of herbs and different things to give it extra flavor. And then also just thinking about the space where you're eating, decluttering it to make sure that it's a clean space. And a habit that I developed, I blame on my children, is eating too quickly. Those of you that have, you know, children might relate to the fact that, you know, you only have 30 seconds to shove food in your mouth, or in your current professions, you may only have 30 seconds between meetings to shove food in your mouth. And so we tend to develop habits where we're eating very quickly. And so something that I try to do is actually put my fork down after every bite that I put in my mouth to slow myself down. And also on one last thing I'll just throw in is that on Sundays when I go to the grocery store, I find that I buy lots of produce, but if I don't prep the produce, when I get home from work and I'm famished and tired, I will reach for a bag of chips because that's quick and easy. And so what I try to be sure to do is actually wash and prep the vegetables on Sunday so that when I get home from work, they're already prepared and ready for me to eat. And the book that I shared in the document is the JJ Virgin Diet. And if you follow it to the T, I think all that you can drink is water because it eliminates just about every possible food group. But one of the things I really loved about the book, one of them is recipes, and it talks a lot about the importance of drinking water, you know, and pacing the drinking of your water throughout the day so that you are continually hydrated. But it also, you know, brings to life, you know, if you're having digestive issues or joint pain or trouble sleeping or headaches, that, you know, all of those things can be caused by the foods you eat. And so it does have a really nice way of eliminating those foods in order to test whether or not they have, you know, an impact on some of those pains that you're having. So on that note, who wants to chat next?
Well, I was going to say your comment about beets. I love beets. But I think your point about like having snacks or ready-made something. So like making more good stuff and then just packaging it so you don't have to make anything. I think that's been my go-to, like making a soup, or if you do a healthy veg chili or a regular chili, having it frozen and being like, hey, let's heat it up. It's already made. Or these stuffed peppers I made. Like, I think that's been our kind of our go-to, especially if you have projects you didn't expect to happen in your kitchen. I think it's really good to make good food and not resort to the fast food.
Fun fact, I've stayed at Laura's Airbnb during travels, and it was hilarious. You know, she was like, well, you can, you know, just stay at my house and ride to the conference with me. And every night of that conference, she and her husband gave me real, actual food with broccoli and fish fillets. And just, I was just like, wow, this is phenomenal. So I would like to take her to every conference. I did not do that at Disney. That was impossible at Disney. But yeah, so Nori, you had talked a bit about some of the healthy eating as well.
Yeah, I'm not really a year-round healthy eater, but in our home, we actually cook. We cook every single night. We're a family that doesn't have a lot of packaged foods. Both my husband and daughter really are red meat lovers, and they're both type A blood type, and I think it kind of aligns with things that I've read, their love of red meat and the fact that it doesn't seem to have an impact on them like it does me. But nonetheless, we do prepare food from, you know, fresh food. So like Laura said, having something done ahead of time, that's the one thing I can do like on the weekends is, you know, cut up a whole bag of onions so that we know we're going to cook with onions every night of the week, basically. Onions are going to go in something. So it's that kind of preparation as opposed to making meals ahead. Because, you know, I don't have any guilt about this anymore, but what my family loves to do is we'll cook for like 45 minutes to an hour together in the kitchen. That's where we're talking. That's where we're hanging out together, preparing the whole meal. And then we have a beautiful coffee table and we sit down and we set it with napkins and everything. And we turn on one of our favorite shows and we watch TV while we eat dinner. And I used to feel like, man, you know, why don't we sit at a dining room table? Like, you know, that was sort of a big thing for my mom. But I realized because we are preparing meals, that is our family time. That is when we talk about the day, talk about the world, and just really enjoy each other. So that said, when I get on this kick for health, I have now, I think this is the 5th year, I do a food cleanse. I'm not one of those people that wants to not eat, but I started doing a food cleanse that's about 3 weeks long. So there's a lot of food preparation, but a lot like Patrice was saying, you reduce down. The first week it's almost predominantly legumes and nuts and specific kinds of vegetables. And then each week you reintroduce different foods back into the diet. And it's just, you know, it's a way of thinking and being mindful about the food I'm eating. And for me, it's my January. I love my husband always leaves. He goes out of, usually goes to work at the X Games or somewhere. So he's often gone for 6 weeks in a row. So this whole time I can really focus on the foods I want to eat, removing wine. It's the time once a year I prove to myself that I don't have to drink wine every day. And then, you know, I can get right back to drinking wine after the cleanse is over. But it had started with a magazine, I can't remember what it was called, Whole Foods or something like that, that's no longer being published. But if you look in the shared doc, there's a cookbook now that is based on the action plan. It's called Clean Slate. And in the first chapter, you'll see basically the 3 weeks played out for the food cleanse. They've got it all set up now in the cookbook, and all the recipes are in there. So we had kind of gotten on this. As we were talking after the conferences, we devolved into this kind of health topic. Like Jess, I am trying to do some exercise. I have a dissertation that is you know, something that I procrastinate on, like all good dissertators do. And so I thought, what the hell, why don't I run while I procrastinate? So I had started running last year, and I did the Couch to 5K app that Jess is doing, and it was amazing. I hadn't run in 30 years, and I seriously got to where I could run right now pretty easily for 30 minutes, which is freaking amazing. So I did start the 10K app, and I'm looking at doing, actually they don't have a 10K, so if I do this one, it'll be a half marathon in the place where I buy my wines, Edna Valley, up in outside of San Luis Obispo. So there's a full marathon, half marathon, and 5K that'll be taking place at the end of April, and I'm working towards that. And I figure, what the hell, if I kill myself and run 13 miles, it'll be a good way to get ready to walk across that graduation stage.
It's funny.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's funny that you mentioned that. Writing and running actually helps my running and writing both. So I think it's being scheduled or having a routine like that is pretty good. And I thought it was pretty neat to hear that, like, that's why you were starting it. I was just like, oh, we haven't done a race in a long time. And the Dallas Marathon, my first marathon, just passed. And I was like, why haven't we done a race in a long time? So thanks for all of you bringing that up.
There's no better feeling after a frustrating day than to put the Hamilton soundtrack in, crank it up to ear bleeding, and just run and not care. Except for the time that I thought the guy behind me on the track was my husband and I lip sync rapped at him. He didn't enjoy it. Now, Tanya, you are cooking right now. You are preparing something. What did you have to say about stuff?
I just want to say to our audience, Jess has a slight obsession with this soundtrack. She likes to talk about it a lot, at least once a week, if not more. We've got to hear
all the time
a lot in Orlando. So just a heads up, like if you want to talk to Jess at any point, then listen to that soundtrack.
Yep, we listened to it at work today. I got caught rapping in the parking lot, and
Is this Hamilton?
Yes. And I've wept openly several times about the documentary.
All my daughter listens to now is Hamilton.
See?
All day.
I'm telling you.
All night.
You're going to put
Every
it
time
in.
we get in the car.
You just start running even if you don't want to. Even if you're not planning on it, you're just like, I got to run.
No, my jam is really trashy mystery novels. I love it.
So Jess had asked about sort of this for me. Some of you might know that I dealt with a digestive disorder for about 20 years. And so my examining my eating was because of how sick food made me. And so I had this really love-hate relationship with food. Especially it got worse as age progressed and as I approached 40, to the point pretty much everything I ate made me sick one way or another. And so I started, lots of doctors, lots of visits and all of that good stuff. And I started eliminating things out of my diet. And this was years of frustration and not figuring it out and everyone telling you it's one thing or another. So eventually I got rid of wheat, corn, dairy. And so my kid is throwing stuff behind me. It's great if you see things catapulting. Oh, there she goes. So dairy, or at least high lactose. I still have cheese, but it's pretty low lactose. I also started doing fresh food only, as Patrice was talking about, clean eating, trying to not buy anything boxed or anything like that, only fresh meat and vegetables, no preservatives, trying to eat organic. And it's all 80-20, like I'm not going to kill myself over it. I, am a recovering perfectionist and OCD, and dieting and exercise can totally take you over the brink. So you want to make sure to keep yourself in check if you have any of those mental health issues. But sort of went that way. Also my seasoning, you buy a lot of pre-seasoned mixes, and I started getting rid of all of those and only doing organic. And so recently, probably in the last year, I decided to only put things in my body that nourish me. And maybe that's part of getting into my 40s and realizing I only have one body. So I did some research and I identified all of the top nourishing foods. And that's what I get when I go to the grocery store. And that's what I put in my house for the most part. So I started putting arugula and spinach, like sauteing it up, putting it in my eggs, putting it on everything. blueberries, avocado.
I totally wanted to tweet out today. Thank you, universe. I love cabbage.
Yeah.
It just
Oh my God,
hit me how much I love cabbage.
On top of that too, that my daughter is out of my closet. Out. Sorry guys. Out.
She likes yelling at Penelope like I yell at Jack and Fur Babe.
Down.
Sit. Right. Sit. Lay still.
Nope. Downstairs, please. Thank you. Downstairs now. 1, 2. We're having a mom.
I should do a countdown with Jack. Now that you're saying.
Yeah, it's getting real. I'm like, where's the
oh?
Her birthday balloons and presents are in my closet.
Oh, tell her it's a monster.
Yeah.
There are monsters in there.
I'll never sleep again for like a year. No, don't do that to kids. So anyways, my daughter is sort of a vegetarian. She loves fruits and vegetables and all that good stuff. And so also she's really given up a lot of meat, sort of leaning that way. So we don't really do pork too much. We've really cut down on beef. We do a lot of chicken and turkey, but it worries me about protein, making sure we have enough protein, you know, and those sorts of things. So that's a little bit about how I approach my diet. The one thing we've been doing more is frequent trip to the grocery store, so not to waste food. You know, with having her and myself and growing up low income, I'm very concerned about wasting food. Like Patrice had mentioned, I'll cut up a veggie tray and every night when we come home have like a cheese plate or a veggie tray or something like that with healthy things on it, so we're not grabbing the bag of chips and all of that good stuff. But I think just focusing, I was one of those people years ago that was eating like, I don't know, baked chips and what was it? Sugar-free, low sugar, zero fat. I don't know. Remember all that stuff to be thin. And in the last several years, I just realized I wanted to not be sick when I ate and be healthy. And so these days I eat sugar in the raw and, you know, gave up Splenda and all of those sorts of things. And it took me a long time to get there, you know, to give up fast food and all those sorts of things. And so I don't judge other people and their habits. At the same time, you know, I love charcuterie, you know, any day of the week. So I'm not 100%, as I don't think anybody should be, but yeah, just thinking about, you know, what we put in our body and how that affects us, as Patrice was alluding to.
Yeah,
just real quick. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, if you didn't eat cheese, I'd be questioning your Wisconsin heritage. And I think most of us do run. Actually, the only reason I run is so I can drink and eat really well. Because if I did what Patrice did, man, we'd have to be real athletes. So.
Yeah, just the working out, you know, I went through a time in my life where I was really obsessive with working out. Like I was running, I was doing yoga and Pilates and then getting on the elliptical. And so working out can be just another obsession, another form of OCD. And so you have to be careful of that as well. And so I've decided now I'm, again, with my diet and with my health, just trying to make things that are manageable for me without being neurotic. And so, and without disappointing, because if you set really high expectations, you can disappoint yourself and then that sends you into a backlash. So with my stress level the past few years, like, and mental health becoming first over everything, over physical health, you know, I try to do yoga once a week. Anything else is bonus. And so I had some foot surgery, and so it's made running and other things hard. And so just trying to find things that I can do not only today, but I can do when I'm 60 as well. And so sort of a long-term plan for my fitness. So I'm not training for a marathon, anything like that. I will go do a 5K, but only if there's drinking involved.
You can hold those posters along the way and, you know, throw beer at us when we were.
So we need to get
like
onto
worst grade ever.
We need to get onto how this idea evolved into going to exercise where we can drink wine. Like this whole, you know, clean living stuff, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. We can prepare to meet and either race or not race. Sorry, my Apple Watch is talking to me. We've got a whole list of places we can meet, and I am excited about the idea of joining together, drinking wine in locations where there are places that we could do some kind of walk a 5K, run a 10K, do a half marathon, broadcast our podcast from there, and go to places where they have amazing wine.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
so
me. That's my 2017. I'm so in.
It could be yoga as well. It could be a yoga and wine.
Yoga, it could be anything, because I get disordered in the way that Tanya was talking about. I get disordered because I am an achiever, and if I am plugging in my calories and I come in 1,000 under my calories in a day, I'm like, yeah, woo, look at how good and then it's terrible. I get ill, I get tired. Whereas if I reframe things to be, at the end of the day, this is mental health and it's wonderful for me, and I'm going to go run on that track and I'm going to lift so many weights I can't stand up, and it's going to be great, but when it comes to healthy eating, I do a combination of, like, I showed you my pizza crust earlier because I got home from work and had no time, so I shoved whatever was in the fridge in my mouth because I don't prep like I've had recommendations to. My husband, he doesn't threaten, but every once in a while he's like, do I need to pack your lunch for you? And I'm like, no, it's great. I've got a Jell-O cup and a carrot and a piece of cheese. I'm good to go. Like, I just put what's in my fridge into my lunch bag and trot my happy butt to campus, which doesn't really work all that well. So the idea of being able to go somewhere that's a fun run where we'll run and we'll enjoy it, but it's not, oh, we got to win this thing. I'm not going to win a 5K. I'm never going to win a 5K. I don't want to win a 5K. But like Nora was saying, the idea of going somewhere and training for a goal. And if the goal is to see these chicks at the end and drink wine and have a great time, phenomenal.
Yeah, just be there with me.
And that's a great segue, actually. I'm going to pass it over to Laura because Laura is the one who kind of gets us organized and wrangles us and sometimes is like, hey. So topic 2 was how we want to run to drink wine. And that's overstating a little bit, but it's not. So Laura went and had all of us assemble a list. Laura, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the list of races that are assembled?
Well, we don't have to just do races, but I thought, so I'm on a big kick of going places for adventures and people, and not so much always work related. So I thought it would be fun, and we all kind of started brainstorming ideas in this doc, and I just put them there because I was like, I won't remember this on this like threaded text that keeps going. So these are just a few races of runs. So we have some that are from Big Sur, which I would love to do, on the California coast near Nori, to the Niagara Falls Women's Half Marathon in my hometown. We got the Boilermaker near Patrice, Stormy the Bastille in Milwaukee. Well, what? And I think there's other great places. So we kept naming a few others and we listed them and essentially come up with destination places where we could meet, we could run. If others want to join in, then they could as well.
The SLO isn't in there. Let me put that in.
Yeah, please put that in.
I put Lansing.
There's better wine than, because I started at Big Sur, which, I love Big Sur. That's where I got married. But there's not really wine there.
You can find wine wherever.
I think there's priorities that I'm trying to promote here, which would be like a wine country-ish near some sort of racing-ish kind of thing.
Yeah, but we also want to go to hometowns too. Come on.
No, I put Lansing on there, and here is why. We are not wine country. We're in the smack middle of the mitten. There's not even a lake for 2 hours, but here's what I have in Lansing. 1, the proceeds benefit the local hands-on Impression 5 Science Center, which is incredible. And 2, I got a butt ton of friends who have offered to line up along the route and give us wine as we run. So it's wine country if you have enough friends to make it happen. And it's kind of a fun little thing. I also put it's called the Fishtown 5K, which is it's not really the most attractive sounding race, but it is in wine country in northern Michigan. Leland is a historical, beautiful area. And so you're basically running along the Grand Traverse Bay, and who doesn't love that? So
Show us where in the mitten, please.
What'd you say?
Show us where in the mitten that is.
Okay, so you know how it kind of comes out here with your little finger? It's kind of right here. So you've got the bay on one side, and if you, depending on the races, like some of them go all the way around the peninsula, so you see like Michigan or you see the Grand Traverse Bay. Just glorious. The half marathon I ran, the only one I've run, I was training for, and then I bruised a kidney and stopped training for, but then I was too cheap to lose the $85 and thought, I'm going to run it anyway. And I'm going to tell you that if you're running along Lake Michigan in this beautiful, pristine area, I didn't know it sucked until I woke up the next day and Ryan had to help me get out of bed. So, wine country really does help.
We have some offers from Megan Raymond, who also has experience in fitness and healthy living. So she's offered to support our nourishment and well-being in the new year. So she has a degree in nutrition and happy to help. Also, if others have suggestions of races, and yeah, they could be in a wine country, but we're guaranteed to have some wine when we're together. So I don't doubt that the race will end in wine in some shape or form. That's really what I was thinking.
I just had to jump in quick. So sorry I had to pull out my mom voice, but it's my daughter's birthday tomorrow, as several of you know. So in the closet are all of these helium balloons, gifts, all of these sort of thing. And that's where she snuck into while I was talking. So I had to get out my mom voice and do the countdown.
I think we all get the mom voice from time to time. It's cool.
From Tanya or from other people?
I've gotten it from Tanya.
Oh, yeah.
I get it from you the most. Out of everyone on this panel, you give me the mom voice more than anyone else.
Joke is, I'm not a mom.
But it works. It's helpful. So back to the, if you have races you'd like to recommend, I'm trying to get my Twitter to refresh so we can update the document. Please let us know. We'll put those in there. And then kind of building on the offer that Megan very generously, said, hey, I'll help you, training suggestions. So there's a list of training suggestions on here. And as Tanya's pointing out and as Laura's pointing out, this isn't like, hey, we're going to spend 2017 getting ripped doing CrossFit. And, it is healthy, and we're going to do the stuff that helps with our mental health and our physical health and makes us, the best, most productive, happy people we can be. But training takes all forms. So there's a list of training suggestions here, and I'm going to be honest that I don't know, aside from my recommendations that Laura put in about the Hamilton mixtape and the Hamilton soundtrack, what kind of training suggestions do you ladies have to offer? I'll just put it out to who put them on the list because I'm having a hard time identifying. We have slow marathon, we have getting back in running shape. Did anyone remember sharing those?
I will just be clear, I have no tips. I use no apps, no hardware, no devices. Even when I do run or did run, I've never read a magazine or trained officially. So I really have nothing to offer there. So good luck, guys.
I have the most wonderful personal trainer at my gym. I'm just going to tell you, her name is Jen Hilker. She's at the Michigan Athletic Club, and she skated roller derby with me under the name Gluteus Maxine, which was wonderful. And she is just...
That is awesome.
She is just this tall, gorgeous drink of water and the sweetest thing on earth. So what really motivates me is not only is she not mean to me, she, works with me on what I like to do, where I'm like, I don't like to run. She's like, so don't run. What else can we do? This is a whole gym. Can you think of anything else we can do? She says it in a sweeter way than that. But she helps me find the things that I like to do. I love lifting weights. And I'm loving this Couch to 5K thing. I would say go with the app that's got different voices, and it's blue, and it's by Kellogg. I'll put it in the thing. It's like sponsored by Kellogg, because the other one just made me feel super stressed out.
I think an important thing to remember too is a lot of times it's just to be moving, and so there were, before I became
What did you say? It's just what?
Can you hear me?
I just lost that word. Say it again. It's just what?
I have no idea. What did I say?
You said a lot of times it's just, and then I missed the main thing.
Get moving.
Oh, get moving.
So like a lot of times, there was a time in my life where it just was about being able to get out 3 times a week and take a 45-minute walk. That was it for me, and so, and then, beyond that, it was like, okay, get out a few times a week and take a hike. And then it became maybe every day or whatever. And it's just figuring out what works for you to make sure that your body is going to last you in the long run, and help you manage your mental health. And so for some people, it might just be getting out and walking around the block. And so it's really finding something that works for you at whatever level. And, when I think about, the different phases of my life. And so, we talk about, training for 5Ks and 10Ks and marathons and those sorts of things. And sometimes it's just get moving, just remember that you have physical health and you should keep moving and those sorts of things. So there's a lot of research that says walking actually is the best exercise. And so having a daughter, going for a run doesn't happen. That's probably why, in addition to my foot surgery and my tendonitis, why I haven't done a lot of it. Maybe she'll be into it soon. But, even just getting my kid to walk a block for a while used to be hard. She'd be like, Mom, get a cab. I'm like, oh my God, seriously? But now it's great because Saturday mornings we can walk down. We live not too far from Lake Michigan, so we can walk down to the lake. And now it's at the point where on Saturdays, not when it's 10 degrees out, but in the summer, we can do a good 5-mile walk. And so whatever, works for you. I think this was just like a weird synergy that we started talking in the past few weeks, and that 4 out of 5 of us had marathon running goals or those sorts of things. And so I think that's sort of how we ended up here.
And I lost my Wi-Fi, but I'm back. And so I missed some of the conversation, but
We missed you.
We're just talking about motivation. What motivates us?
And I think Tanya made a great point that sometimes if you're surrounded by people who are, very competitive and very athletic, that can actually be demotivating to you. And to set, setting realistic goals. And I a lot of times I think of that with respect to, January's coming and the go-to for everyone is to join the gym. And actually, sometimes even, I live pretty close to my gym, but sometimes it feels like, yeah, but by the time I drive to the gym and walk into the gym and, put my stuff in the locker room and get on the machine, that adds like, instead of a 1-hour workout, it's now become a 2-hour workout. And so sometimes doing things like joining the gym cannot work out for you. And there are really great ways, to still work out at home. And I personally have always been kind of a gym rat. I really, I love spinning classes and going to the gym and getting out of the house to work out. But there was a phase in my life where I really had that feeling like I was so, the gym was further away from me. I was really, really strapped for time. And, getting that extra hour in of not having to travel to the gym prevented me from going to the gym. And I just happened to be reading one of those Shape or, one of those magazines. And I think it was like a little article about Demi Moore and how she was using this program called P90X. And I've never been one to work out at home or buy workout DVDs or do any of that stuff. But one might say I was desperate. And so I shelled out the $200 or, whatever it was for those DVDs. And I now have a family of P90X fanatics. I think I bought those DVDs 6 years ago. And we still use them. We have P90X, P90X 2 and 3. And my kids all do it. And, while I go to the gym, it's great having that backup and knowing that, I can pull something out and work out at home. So it's kind of that plan B concept, to always have that in mind.
That whole high impact thing is insane. I had a gym in Lansing and it was just it was just a room, but the people were wonderful. And this program was called Grit. And if you look it up, it's one of those beach body things, but honestly, it was 30 minutes. And by the end of it, I was doing alligator push-ups and stuff. But when we started, at one point, I did just lay on the floor and say, everything hurts. It was horrible. I felt like I was dying. And the people and the community, as Nori's pointed out, just the getting to go hang out with them really got me through it. They merged with another gym, which really broke my heart. But that was wonderful.
Patrice
That's it.
brings up a good point, though, is like, one, for me, it's very hard to go, it's time, you're working, trying to even find time to eat during the day. There were most of my life where I didn't eat probably until dinner. Trying to find time to work out is really hard. For me, when I'm not working, I'm with my child. And so being able to figure out ways that you can do things at home and with your kids, I think also gyms sometimes are really cost prohibitive, you know, $50 a month or $40 a month, you add that up for a year. You know, it's sort of like, do I want to work out at home, or do I want to take another, you know, you guys know that I prioritize trips, or do I want to go to Costa Rica this year? It's like, I want to go to Costa Rica. So Jess and I talked about this once, because one of these strategies worked really well for me is taking meetings over lunch, but having them be walking meetings. So like I'd schedule time with my staff around lunchtime or whenever, and instead of sitting in an office and having a meeting, we would walk for miles and just talk. So there's ways that you can incorporate those things as well. If you're trying to balance, you know, 18-hour workdays and being a mom and, you know, financial security and those sorts of things. I don't know if you guys have some other strategies and how you've dealt with time restraints or other obligations.
I make a meeting. Like I actually make yoga a meeting. I make my walking the dog a meeting, or sometimes, like, and it's being social too. So sometimes I go with Fierka, who came home, and I had to consult to see if this wine was gone off and what the wine was. It was a bonus bottle. He's like, oh, that was the bonus bottle. There's no story to it, so we have to make up the story tonight. So we'll come up with something, don't worry. But yeah, I think making a meeting, and then I schedule time before that. Like I'd schedule like breaks in between where I could, like I put in my calendar, shower, eat. So, like I do put like a 30-minute break to go do something of wellness. Cause I think you're right. Like if people rely on your time and your calendar, then time block to what you want to do. And
well, and it's nice when you work at home or work remotely. You know, I think a large part of my life, you know, I was going into the office at 8 a.m. and leaving at 8 p.m. If I could find a time to smash something into my mouth, that was a miracle. The only reason I started leaving the office is because I had to pick up my kid from daycare, honestly, after I had her. So, you know, and that's where you get caught in sort of that hamster wheel that we've talked about previously, and trying to prove yourself and do so much professionally that we forget about basic things like health and wellness, physical and mental.
yeah, because it could be meditation and like just mental space away from things too, right? It doesn't have to be a physical thing. It's definitely a mental, and meditate. I've been thinking about meditation a lot more beyond a yoga practice. But
I have a couple of meditation apps that I'll put in the document. One was developed by a professor that we worked with at MSU, and one, I mean, the Apple Watch Breathe app. If you have an Apple Watch and it tells you to breathe, don't snooze it. I find it feels so much
love
better.
it. Yeah.
So great. And then, you know, I don't have control over my calendar all the time. So just recently I had like an hour and a half blocked off, and I thought I set it to private. And somebody was like, hey, can we meet during that time? And I knew I was going to go to the gym, but I just said, well, why don't you find some time on my calendar where I'm available? And they said, well, this hour and a half says, Jess, get your fat ass to the gym. Do you want me to schedule over that? And I was like, oh, that was, so I leave myself like, move it, you know, whatever. And it wasn't like body shaming or anything. It was to make me laugh and kind of break me out of that work thing. And I just didn't realize it wasn't private. So at that point I had to be like, oh yeah, I guess that'd be an okay time. I had to give it up. So even defensive calendaring doesn't work all the time. So I've started making private appointments and trying to keep those to go during the afternoon, or I take my stuff with me to work and go directly to the gym. And if I don't want to go, so my strategy is, my gym is expensive, but then I always go, and I don't always have the money to do other things. It's, you know, it's an athletic club, it's got tennis courts and all that stuff. So then my entertainment is working out.
Yeah,
and
you're so fancy.
I know, right? But here's how I get myself to the gym. Not only the Hamilton contract, but it was the hot tub.
My daughter showed me something in a new Google Calendar app where you can, it only works on my phone. Like I can't figure out how to do this in the Google Calendar, but you can set up a goal and it will calendar for you. So like, I'm looking at the thing right now. Can you see my screen, or is it?
yep.
And if you go in and do a goal, and you can set a goal of walking or studying or something, and then how often you want to do it and for how long, and it'll fill places in your calendar, and then you can go in the calendar and edit them.
Oh,
But
wow.
then on my phone, I get this
Notification.
like, I said I was going to run right now. Did I do it? And I can like tap, I did do my run that I said I was
And you're
going
like,
to do.
yes.
Uh-huh. And that matches my life more than a lot of the things in apps do.
Yeah.
just because I live in my calendar, like many of us do professionally.
Megan Raymond, similar. So Megan Raymond uses Strava to keep her motivated and consistent because it's logging.
I know. I was just
I was just
looking
looking at too. Yeah.
Is it the logging that you like, or is it the calendar invite you like? So what's the draw there? Like, I understand.
The general GPS looked like it was cool.
I will say there are places. So my friend Jeff Jackson, who's watching our podcast, and he's been watching a couple days because we used to podcast like on audio podcast back in 2010. And he said essentially wants to move to the Netherlands. Well, the Dutch actually reverse charge you. So if you go to the gym, it's free. If you don't, then they charge you for a fee. And I was like, we need to be doing that more. Like people would be like, yeah.
So that made me think of something. For those of you who are at institutions that have the employee reimbursement accounts, just started, I think last year as a new IRS rule, is that you actually can have your gym membership or your yoga package or those sorts of things. You can pay them out of your medical reimbursement account. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this. The other thing that you can pay out of there when we talk about self-care, so like I was able to do that. Also like acupuncture, your chiropractor, massage. Those are all sorts of things that you could potentially pay out of your medical reimbursement account when we talk about that. So just something to think of. Jess, you were talking there about you've made a choice to invest in your gym and how that has changed other financial priorities. Can you just touch on that again? I'm always interested in how people think about where they're going to spend their money and invest their money. And I know all of us have different, ways in which we choose to invest our money and what makes our lives happy. So just interested to hear.
Well, I mean, we had a Planet Fitness account. It was $10 a month. I upped to the black card so I could sit in the massage chairs. But, and it's not like my gym is super expensive. I mean, it is a privilege. It is, I want to say for my husband and I, like $120 a month, which is not cheap. But it also has everything. So like in the summer, it's a pool club. So like beautiful outdoor pools. We can take wine and sit by the pool. Free court time. Discounted massages, which I have to get for my migraines, and they're terrible and painful, but cheaper. And so what happened? So this week we only had one car. I haven't been to the gym yet this week because we were back and forth and just trying to wrangle all of that. And I already am feeling like I gotta get to the gym because every time we don't go, it costs money. And then the bill comes out and I'm like, well, don't we feel like buttheads now? So it's motivation, but it's also the facility. I know at the end of that workout, there's a hot tub. There's a hot tub waiting for me. And if I just go to the gym and get in the hot tub and don't do the workout, then that's silly. Why would I do that? Paying for a hot tub. So just those different pieces. And then my trainer, I mean, my trainer alone is worth going for. So there are additional charges. Personal training is a charge and things like that. But if I pay for it, I value it a lot more.
Have any of you have decisions? So my research team and I were just talking about this last night at happy hour, but like making choices about like having an in-house gym or a treadmill. Nori, I think you used to have an elliptical or something like that. Do any of you have an in-house gym or have this?
Yeah, my whole studio, I've got a Pilates reformer that I invested in years ago when Phoebe was younger. I was in that same boat you were in, Tanya, where I was a mostly single mom and I had full-time job, daycare. I did not have gym time to carve out of that life. So I invested in a Pilates reformer. I also have a little step machine and a little kind of cheesy rowing machine. And I ebb and flow with that. Like right now I am, because I work from home and I'm really adjusting to this new career of 9 months. For me, I want to get out of the house. Like it's the opposite. So I haven't been doing as much from my own personal gym, but I have been.
You're in California.
Right. It's true. There's not snow outside.
It's 10 degrees outside. I'm not running anywhere.
I just have this big commitment to getting up before the sun rises, getting out, and one day I'm either running, doing my stupid 10K prep because I said I would, Or I like put my two goofy dogs on a leash and I just love to watch the sunrise in my little college town. And it's just huge for me. I would rather do that than be in my super cool gym that I had set up. So that's my long answer to Tanya, but I will go back to that. Now what I have set up is just my, I think it's called my Zabuton, my little meditation pillow. And I sit and do, when my little breathe app comes up, I'll take like 5 minutes because I'm really working on not being so spastically focused throughout my day.
So something I did when I was getting my PhD and I didn't have time to go to the gym, it's kind of an indoor trainer stand that you put your road bike on. And so I could, read all those mounds of, Nori, as you can relate currently, mounds of readings while I was, on the bike doing training. And so that enabled me to work out at home, do my readings without having to travel to the gym.
Dude, seriously, I have to tell you this trick. All doctoral candidates, listen up. If you get a Whisper Sync Kindle book and then you have the Audible, and as you're listening, you can clip on the corner of the app in the lower right-hand corner of the window. So if you're running or walking and you're listening to whatever is going on and you clip it, you sync that back, and when you go to the Kindle version, it actually highlights that text for you. It's creepy, amazing, cool, shortcutting reading stuff. Anyway, sorry.
I failed. Patrice will let you finish up. I totally failed, and we're going to finish this and then move on to the roast because we have 4 minutes. So,
all right. I was just going to follow up. What I was going to say, that Nori kind of led into is, I then now do a lot of my reading on my Kindle. And so I'm able to multitask and do, I might have to read something for research or work. And then Laura's talked a lot about how she listens to podcasts. And so I've added that when I'm walking my dog. Now I always listen to a podcast or an Audible book. So now
podcast recommendations would be great on Twitter and in the doc. So the last thing we've got 4 minutes. 2016, it seems like for a lot of people has been
a tough year.
Horrible, awful, bad.
Goodbye 2016.
Here we go. For the last call, rant 2016, you are the worst. Laura, would you like to start?
No, that's it. I think that's our rant is goodbye 2016. Bring on 2017.
Yeah, enough with people dying. All right already?
Enough with bad attitudes and binary conversations.
Yeah.
We need emotional correctness is the podcast I heard to say. TED Radio Hour is my recommendation. So not political correctness, emotional. We need to get in touch with each other and have some empathy for one another and care about one another. I'll share that one.
Yep. Enough rolling over and take it what comes at you.
All these algorithms that just keep us together with all the same like-minded people. Break out of your stupid algorithm. Go meet somebody who isn't anything like you. And have a conversation with them and try to figure out why this whole world is just trying to create ourselves in our own image and keep us in our little silos. There, that's my rant. I'm done. Damn.
Yeah, I'm saying that 2017 is the year I'm not being silent anymore, and that's already starting in 2016. Today was a ranty day, as evidenced by the bathrobe and the Josh Groban t-shirt. But get ready, because I'm pretty good with being invisible and quiet and kind of, in the background, but it's over.
Jess, have you heard of this bitch stick?
I would like to. Is that something I should Google, or is that something you're going to tell me about?
So Lindsay Harness just gave me a gift yesterday, and it's a bitch stick. It's like a chapstick or something like that. We can put it in the doc. So anyways, but on there it says apply and use your voice. And so, and the proceeds go to a charity. But anyways, it's just really interesting.
I'm into it. See, and it's not that I'm not using my voice. It's that I'm going to start using my voice in a more strong, difficult fashion. So the people who are used to me being accommodating, get ready. Accommodation not happening in the same ways. So anyone else wrapping up with our last 2 minutes, rant for 2016?
I don't really have a rant. The end of 2016, as many of you know, led to my youngest daughter leaving and being an empty nester. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to, you know, blossom and explore this new journey of mine in 2017.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tanya?
Toast to that. Anyone want to raise your glass with me? My last sip.
Oh, it's your last one. That's so sad.
2017, ladies.
Hey, cheers to New Year.
All
Next
that
year,
will be.
we're going to have some collaborations, some more conversations. We'd love to hear from you. So tweet at us, email if you find us, send a message, and stay tuned for what lies ahead.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Happy New Year. Happy holidays.